Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Ramen. Thank you for your support. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers, DMO73 here, bringing you the deck profile for the Anti-Violet Wolfgang, take 1, as it were. Well, I guess more take 2, because we've made some tweaks from the feature match. The idea here being that we want to try to turn the deck so that it can be focused towards beating Violet, as opposed to its general good matchup, which is like the Feasting Mooj decks. So we have some techs in here, we've made some changes. Clearly those changes are designed to kind of focus on what Violet is doing versus what traditional Wolfgang is doing with its tech cards. I definitely think that we will be refocusing on this again when this next set comes out. I think that there's some, especially even like the 1-drop that gets us the light to be able to heal. Like, there are things that we can do to make this better, I think, with next set drops, but we did want to give it a first glance. So obviously we're playing Wolfgang here to be able to get those demonic worlds out. Flips into a demonic world for a finisher. Just generates a lot of free value that gets around cancels, which is generally why we like it against Feast Mooj, but its early game is really weak to things like Burn, or things like Violet being very aggressive, like Bahamut and stuff like that. So that is kind of the natural weakness. Going into the stones real quick, we are playing 4 Stone of the 6 Sages, so that it's possible to call Stone and Judgment with Wolfgang in the same turn. Also, while we are playing a single Ragnarok's Fiery Stone, it is a little bit of a risk, but it can pay off in a big way if you can survive through it. 3 Heaven's Rift, 1 Stone of the Kingdom, and then 1 Scorched Bales. This is just because we want some access to red a little bit for things like Flames of the Outer World, but primarily we want the whole black base, and white is our main secondary color. Going into this Demonic Worlds, we're playing a single copy of First Layer to be able to gain some life in a big way and kind of deal some damage as also a closeout finisher if we need to. Temple of the Dead, so that we can generate some tokens. Also, just it is a 1-drop, but this probably gets replaced with the new healing one. 2 Permafrost to be able to tap stuff down. A single Oil Pond, because when you combine it with Forest of Darkness, you can kill any witch, or things like Morning Angel, which are very nice, or things like Exorcist Mage, which is very nice. 2 Swamp of Sorrows. We went up to 2 from 1, so that if we have 1 in hand, we can still flip into getting it off of Wolfgang. I think in that game 3, we talked about how if I had gone for the Swamp of Sorrows play instead of going for the Amadeus, or the Paradise, I probably would have won that game. So that's our kind of lesson from there. 2 Paradise, for a similar reason, like, casting it from hand feels good, but we always want to be able to grab it off of a cheated if at all possible. 1 Amadeus the Fallen Kingdom possibly also gets replaced if we see any other demonic worlds. It just doesn't do much, and it is a 3-drop, so that feels a little weird, but we want a good variety of Fallen King of demonic worlds. Only 2 copies of Plane of Raging Winds. We used to think this was like a straight 4 of, but really it's not. We wanted to trim it. We don't need it that often. And having the 2 copies has been proved to be enough. And also it's just a dead card if it's in your hand too many copies. Like I said, 2 Forested Darkness, because we can just set up really nice boards that opponents just can't play cards through, which is nice. 2 copies of Scorn of Dark Alice. Definitely considering going up to 3. You could like cut Amadeus for a 3rd one to be able to steal those Atomic Bahamuts in the early game to keep yourself a little bit more less things to deal with. 2 copies of Winds of the Demonic World, because as we go, this becomes just a free kill something, which is really, really nice. If they don't happen to have the Brave Force or the Turbulence, you can do some really neat things with this. This also does make it easier to deal with the Brave Force, because we have like free removal to kind of respond to the Brave Force with and stuff like that, which is really nice. 3 copies of Intimidation. This is to be able to help us obviously survive the Bahamut the turn it flips. 3 Necronomicon barriers. This helps us search for demonic worlds if we need to, which is nice, but also just canceling enter effects to turn off things like Tiny Violet or the robot, or keep our board alive, especially if we have a flyer from Atomic Bahamut. Just very, very nice. 3 copies of Void in the main board to be able to RFG the atoms as they go, to make it so that we just don't have to deal with Bahamut at a cheaper level, because if it gets to the late game and you have to pay more for Bahamut, you certainly have a lot more to be able to deal with him. So this helps to kind of mitigate that in the beginning. 3 Fallen Angel of Hatred. Just so we have them. You can certainly also go down to 2, but I like the idea of having multiple just so you have this other threat in your back pocket. 2 Assault from the Demonic World. We can turn on Revenge super easily since we're playing the Residents, and this can just kill a J-Ruler, which is nice. Also why we're playing Satan's Phantasmal Body, Flames of the Outer World, so that we have a way to just straight kill Violet the turn she flips. If that all happens, that's unchaseable, which is really, really nice. And 3 copies of Residence, because it is the main ramp engine of the deck. This card is absolutely bonkers in terms of being able to get so many Demonic Worlds so fast. My average is 3 Demonic Worlds by the end of turn 2. You can just get a lot of value off of this with like sacking it, playing a Demonic World from hand, getting it back, sacking it again. You know the drill. And then lastly, a couple copies of Fallen Angel of Terminus. You don't need too many, but you definitely want at least more than 1, just in case one ends up in your hand. So that is the list. Again, I do think that there is room to explore. I think that hopefully with this next set, there is more stuff to make this matchup certainly more winnable. This deck feels a whole lot different than the traditional list, not necessarily in the Demonic World package, but in the rest of it. Clearly designed to be more focused on hating out Violet, and I think it's got some legs there. I just think that you also have to remember to play a little bit differently and recognize that maybe your best flip is actually just Swamp, to just remove all the cards from Violet's hand and call it a day. But there you have it. Let me know your guys' thoughts or what you've tried and had some success with. And until next time, this is DMO73 saying, class dismiss.